We now turn our attention to Limpopo to unpack the state of that province's local government and the municipal finances. Basikopo Makamu, who is the Limpopo MEC for Cooperative Governance, Human Settlements and Traditional Affairs, joins us now to give us more details. MEC, good evening and thank you very much for your time tonight here on In Focus. In your statement, you are pointing to a tangible hope that is rising from the north. According to the 2019-2020 Municipal Finance Audit, Limpopo, considered now one of the poorest provinces in South Africa, has emerged as the only province with the most notable improvements. What are the improvements?
Thanks, Tavo, and greetings to the viewers. Let me first appreciate the fact that it's true now that we have got 27 municipalities in our province. Out of those 27 municipalities, there's no single municipality which has regressed, meaning that it's either you have improved or remained where you were before or the previous financial year. But I must indicate that there is some signs that we are making tide or turning a tide for the province. If you look at the municipalities, about 15 of those municipalities got unqualified audit opinion, but at the same time we still maintained one clean audit. But we only have got one municipality which has got the negative audit opinion in the form of Mukalakwena, which got at least the adverse audit opinion. And I think the story of Mukalakwena, you know, I've been there talking to you about it. It's a work in progress. But one thing that is encouraging is that now our municipalities or local government can be able to account for the funds that they are getting. You raised one good important point that Limpopo is said to be almost 72% of the people who are living below the poverty line. Yeah. That shows that the little resource we find, we can be able to account for. Yeah. And that is something that is impressive on the leadership that the municipality are providing to our communities. But we will also be looking at the second phase of seeing that service delivery also has to take place. It's not the audit outcomes that should be able to make us celebrate. We should celebrate when our people are receiving water, when our people are receiving roads, when our people are receiving what is due to them in terms of how we are doing with them.
I'm glad you mentioned that. I'm glad you put that into perspective, because one would say, yeah, the clean audits could be there, one negative one, and a number of unqualified audits. But if you look closely at the Cooperative report, it points to some challenges that need practical action to be taken on the part of the province. So let's go straight to some of the challenges in Limpopo. You've already mentioned one, 72.2% of the people living under poverty at this particular moment, according to the report. What are the proposed practical actions there in terms of resources that are available in the municipalities, but also in turning around those municipalities that are currently dysfunctional?
Well, I think you know, Tabo, that for the fact that the Auditor General will say now municipalities are able to account for the funds that they have been given, that will be leading easily to say, what is it that this money are being spent for? And that's where you will be able to go and look at the statistics South Africa. What is it that they are saying about water? What is it that we are doing in terms of economic development within our municipalities? Looking at the challenges that we find ourselves with the pandemic, which is there. But I'm saying it is a proper launching pad that now we can be able to say confidence to our municipalities or to our communities that we can account for every. If you look at Capricorn District Municipality with the clean audit that they have, just tells you that the amount of money that they have, they can be able to account for it and show how they spend it. Now, if you get this improvement within our municipalities, that will show that we will now go to the second stage, showing what is it that you say you are accounting. We see the rents and cents here, but what is happening in terms of the local economic development to improve or to lower the number of unemployment, to improve the poverty line that our people live in. And that is a sign that the local government, as a core phase of government, which is closer to our people, can be able to start to respond to those challenges. Yeah. We are starting with the first phase of accounting, then we'll come to the part of delivery and changing the situation of economy around our communities where they're living in.
Now, community structures like Sanko there in the Mogalakwena municipality are calling for some action to be taken, particularly on political management teams who stole money or even stole assets. For those assets to be returned, and it seems you are not giving them attention. What is being done around that particular issue? I know there's an SIU investigation that was assigned by the president sometime in March, but they are talking issues, for example, of lease agreements that were done irregularly, right? Instead of 20 years, instead of 5 years rather, those leases are going up to 20 years. That's what Sanko is saying. And they're talking of 400 people who are appointed irregularly. They're saying that money that's paying salaries for those irregularly appointed people should actually be paying for service delivery in the municipality.
I think, Tabo, you remember the issues of Mogalakwena are well documented, and the Executive Council in the province mandated the MEC for Corporate Governance and Human Settlement and Traditional Affairs through Section 139B to intervene, put an intervention team, and those two issues you raised are issues that I'm well aware of. There could be only those that will do as government or as the department, but like you said, and I think that is the proper answer, that the SIU are there to be able to make sure that anybody who have to face the criminal charges should be taken to those. Those were supposed to go through disciplinary process. I think by now, you know, it is documented. Those people who were serving in the adjudication committee or for the tender about the very same matter of the lease agreements. Some of them have already resigned. It's a process that has to be followed through. But if you talk about the other issue in terms of appointment, you will have to understand that there's law in this country that you should be able to follow in terms of Labor Relations Act about those employees. A process has to be followed to make sure that we regularize or look at how it should be handled, because you should be knowing that you cannot necessarily come in and say you are dismissed, you should run a process. But it's a matter which also it's within us, we are busy handling it, we are also knowing that it affects human beings, hence the matter should be handled in a manner that it should not necessarily cause another challenge, but amicable solutions should be found in terms of that issue. But these are some of the issues we are confronted with, and we should accept that as well government should be able to. And it's not surprising, Tabo, that I must indicate that in the 27 municipalities, like I said, Mogalakwena is still the only municipality that are still or is still lying under a negative audit opinion because they got an adverse. That's an indication to show how deep the challenge is and how deep we should be committed to make sure that we resolve the issue. And I don't think there will be anything that will deter us. The Premier is supporting the department, but also other executive council members are supporting that we should be able to go deep to the problem and resolve it so that the people in Mogalakwena should be treated the same way as in any other municipality where things are showing signs of improvement.
What is the real challenge, MEC, in filling up the vacancies or reducing the number of the vacancy rate, right? You agree that it is your constitutional obligation to reduce those vacancy rates of senior managers within 3 months, right? Now, Limpopo has the highest vacancy rate, at 27%. Let's zoom in and understand exactly what it means. Municipal managers, you've got 3 municipal managers that have not taken their position. You've got 6 CFOs that have not been appointed. You've got 7 in the technical staff that have not been appointed. You've got 5 in corporate services that have not been appointed. You've got 8 in development planning that have not been appointed. 7 in community services. It all adds up, right, into these 27% of positions not being filled. You are now way even above the 60-day mark that has been recommended that you fill those positions. Why?
Thanks for that question, and I think it will help me to clear some of the things. It's correct. I should not necessarily continue to talk about that. You remember, as a province, we acted for all municipal managers and CFOs who invested money in the VBS. That affected the vacancy rate because we had to make sure that some are dismissed, some are resigning. That contributed. But the other factor that is contributing to this, let me give you an example of a municipality like Musina. I think you know it's in the border to Zimbabwe. It's a grade 3 municipality. They have been advertising a position for a technical director, which could have been gone for 12 months without attracting a proper technical director who have got the proper skills that they require. Simply because of the level of the grade of the municipality will be. If Ulukwani, for argument's sake, or Tswane will advertise the same position, the person will easily leave the rural municipality. And I have showed, or in the report that you have seen, that Limpopo, because it's a poorest province, some of the people cannot be able to be, or municipalities will be at these levels, or the grades which are so lower that their income will even at some point less than what their deputy managers will be able to get, because the salary or the upper limit for the senior management and councillors are determined by this upper limit. So that also contributes that if you appoint a person today, I know of one municipality appointed a planning director. That planning director did not even stay for 3 months. Another position is being advertised somewhere. That person leaves to a greener pasture. So it is contributing. Maybe it's an issue that I have already made submission in Tawa, and I say it, that I was suggesting to say we should be allowed as well to appoint directors who are reporting, or managers reporting to municipal manager on a fixed term contract or permanent positions. Look at the Department for Corporate Governance as an example. We have got an HOD who could be on a term contract. But the DPGs who are far behind, above your senior managers in municipalities are appointed permanently. So even if the HOD may leave the department, you can easily get one of the DPGs to take over and run the department.
Yeah.
But it's not the same with municipalities. West of it, we're going to local government. Now, there's nobody who will risk to get appointed to a position because of the legislation. It can be only 12 months after the council. So people who have the required skills may not get to be attracted until new council comes in. Hence, during this few months of the end of the administration for the 4th term of local government, you will find that when people are not willing to apply. We have got one municipality, look at the report there, in Pelempundu. We have been advertising that position. We are not attracting a person because people know they are going there for 12 months. And that is also a contributing factor because our legislation is structured.
MEC, we're going to have to leave it there for tonight. I appreciate you coming through. Limpopo Cocktail MEC Basikopo Makamu. We'll touch base again with you and check on the progress in the implementation of those changes and improvements to the local government structures there. When we continue